Hey, what is up guys, and welcome to another video. So if you watched the previous videos, I'll show you how to change the transmission filter. I've shown you how to install the OEM factory Nissan transmission cooler for the 7-gen Nissan Maxima, and now today we are going to be replacing all the fluid. So I'll be switching from the Nissan to the Amsoil CVT full synthetic. So the filter, well, it's covered by the splash guard. And the new external transmission cooler from Nissan is completely empty. All of those were just installed today. So the only fluid that's left is what's in the transmission itself. I haven't circulated anything. So there is supposed to be a tab here, but I guess this was removed before. But this is the fluid that came out. So it looks dark, but it's kind of you can see the color there. So this fluid was still kind of good. It was replaced not too long before I brought this car. I've only put about 10,000 miles on the car since I've gotten it. And if you're an OG subscriber, you know what this car originally was compared to what it is today, and still getting brand new parts. So to undo this tab, you're supposed to get like something thin, push the tab back and pull out. I guess whoever changed the transmission fluid before, I'm not sure if it was Nissan or the previous owner, but that fluid still looks pretty good. But since I already did the filter, the trans cooler, I might as well do everything else at the same time. So take it out. The fluid is still, as you see, at the full mark, even though I took everything out. I did drive it for the 10 minutes and everything, and then I sat there and checked it before the video. I should have recorded it. I wasn't thinking about it. But I'll have the procedure before I did all of this displayed from the user manual, and I'll also demonstrate it. We're going to get underneath. We're going to drain the fluid. You're going to need a Hex 10, and 10 mil, and some cleaner. So that's the fluid that came out from the old filter and the radiator sport. That's all that came out from that section. So that's not much, considering all that's been drained, and the transmission is still at. I haven't circulated anything since I just put the parts on, and it's still at the pretty much full mark. So let's get on to it. All right, so the new transmission pan, part number is 31390-1XE0A. The transmission gasket is part number 31397-1XE0A. And then of course you're gonna need the transmission fluid. All right, so this is the transmission pan, the one with all the cooling fins underneath here. And then if you go towards the rear, where is it? I'm trying to look through the camera. Oh, there we go. So that's the Hex 10, that's the drain plug. So if you're reusing, well, keeping the original drain pan for the transmission, Nissan does recommend to replace the O-ring. Me, I got a brand new old transmission pan, so I don't have to worry about replacing it. So, like I said, it's a Hex 10. So I'm gonna set it down. We're gonna crack that loose and let it drain into this pan right here. So I would say use a breaker bar with the Hex 10 and crack it loose. Me, I'm just gonna use the impact because, like I said, this transmission pan is getting replaced anyway, so I don't care about the threads or nothing. Right. Bring the pan underneath. Then I'm gonna let this drain out. There we go. So that's the O-ring Nissan would say to replace. So we're gonna let this drain. Also, Nissan says keep the car leveled. I got mine on the ramps because if it's level, you're gonna still have about a quart or a quarter of a quart still sitting in the drain pan, main transmission pan. So with it being an angle, it's making it all flow out the way it did a whole lot better. So even though Nissan says drain it at a level, I'll say have it on the ramps. That way all the fluid is just draining out. You ain't gonna have none sitting underneath here because the drain plug is sitting about half an inch to an inch above the actual bottom of the transmission pan. So once it's drained, we'll put the plug back in, and then we'll sit there and remove all the 10 mils and drop this pan. All right, so we're gonna put this plug back in. Don't have to worry about tightening it because, like I said, I am replacing the whole pan. You don't have to. It's just me. I'm just gonna replace it anyway. I just like replacing stuff. All right, so now we are going to remove all the 10 mils that's around the transmission pan. So I'm gonna use a ratchet and I'll break each one loose, and then I'll remove it with the impact. Now I'll remove all of them, but the corners I'm gonna keep, and I'll show you why in a minute. Now I'm gonna put the pan right there. I'm gonna slowly back everything out. No, we're not taking the bolts all the way, just in case. Well, there's still gonna be a little bit of fluid left in there. All right, so now we're gonna get like a pry bar. We're gonna pry on this lip, and you wanna push against the frame. So just pry. There we go. Just the whole thing now. We'll do a little bit more. So now remove this right there. So carefully going to remove the bolts. Shouldn't be very much fluid since we do got the car kind of in an angle. Do the back one first. And the last one. There we go. So magnets look pretty good. So it's a pretty healthy transmission. So take out these. I'm gonna use some brake cleaner and clean these off, and then we're gonna transfer this to the. All right, got the magnets cleaned up. We're gonna open this. Put the magnets. Yeah. That's just me, but I wanted to make sure it was kind of centered on the where it sits at. And then we're going to cut open the gasket. You don't want to bend this or crease it, so be very careful. Carefully cut open where it's at. There you go. Slide it out. And then we're gonna clean this one more time with some brake cleaner. All right. We're gonna lay this gasket down. And then there are some dial, well, let me swap out this cardboard and I'll show y'all. And I cleaned this mating surface area too with some brake cleaner and shop rag, microfiber, like so. And there's some dowel pins so you know where it's lined up at. So I'm gonna show you how to install it. So kind of make sure the gasket's lined up with all the bolt holes. And then we're gonna carefully put it up. Just making sure everything's good. And then slowly and carefully gonna line this up. So you don't want to cause any damage to the gasket. You will have leaks, and then you won't have to redo this job again. So it's important to take your time. All right, and then I'm gonna get some screws, carefully put it up, just start hand tightening. Forget in the way of the camera, I apologize. Now, me song does say recommend replacing these with new ones. I think it's just a waste for you to spend even more money. So you can reuse these. I've been working on cars for a decade now, a little over a decade, and I've reused bolts for the transmission and never had an issue. So I don't see these being any different. So I'm just gonna put these in. But if you do want to sit there and go by the manual to replace every single bolt, it is about approximately 27, I believe, somewhere around that ballpark. And you will spend probably another $50, $60 on just buying new bolts by itself. So this part is completely up to you. On me, this is my personal vehicle. I'm going to reuse the bolts because I don't see a reason not to. Like I said, if you want to now I'm going to tighten these in a crisscross pattern. For these, I got all of these hand tightened. So the torque specs on the 10 mils is 72 inch-pounds. My torque wrench has foot-pounds and kilograms. So if yours has foot-pounds, you could do 6 foot-pounds. That's equivalent to 72 inch-pounds. So I'm gonna put the 10 mil on, and then remember to do it in a crisscross pattern. So I measured about 5.5 that came out. So I'm going to start with 5. Check the level. I know I'm gonna have to add more because I did add a transmission cooler. So we're just going to casually add more and more until we get to where it's supposed to be. So that's 5 quarts. So let's check this again. Okay. Alright, so we're gonna start the car. We're gonna let it get to operating temperature. Alright, and then we want to go through each gear within 5 seconds apart. So I got this converted, but it's still the original. So we're gonna go to reverse. We just want to make sure it's going through all the gears smoothly. Now neutral. Drive. Back to neutral. Reverse. Like I said, while it's at operating temperature, we just want to make sure it's going through all the gears smoothly, just to get that new fluid circulated. where it's supposed to be, and then we recheck the levels. So I'm gonna do it one more time. Alright, so let's go check the fluid. So it's been running for about 10 minutes. It's operating temperature, so let's check it and make sure the car is level. I'm gonna check it one more time. We might have to add a little bit more. Yeah, we're gonna have to add a little bit more. So I'm gonna add a quart, half a quart. Oh, let's see where we at. Now, I will have to add extra because I did add an external transmission filter. I mean cooler. Alright, we good. So now I can put this back the right direction, close it, and that's how you do a complete transmission fluid change and pan replacement with 7-gen Maxima. That's it for this video. Like, comment, subscribe. See you in the next one. Peace.